right, from Falcon Field at Fauquier High School, welcome to tonight's broadcast of high school boys varsity lacrosse as the visiting Blue Devils take on what I'm going to be calling the high-flying Falcons of Fauquier. I'm Mark O'Connell, joined, by, as always, by Jeff Say, Johnny Krawchuk, the man behind the camera there. Jeff, welcome aboard. When we were last in action, the Blue Devils were last in action. They posted a big win over crosstown rival Eastern View 10-8. Then last week was spring break, and they really get the spring break or back into the season after the break in high fashion as they take on a very top-rated team.
Well, the Falcons are going to be a tough test tonight for the Blue Devils. Fauquier coming in 8-0, second in the Northwestern District. So excited to see how they match up against the Blue Devils. And Mark, you mentioned it was spring break. It sure didn't feel like spring. A week ago, if we would try to broadcast, we would have been snowed out. And it's amazing to me how much of a difference that makes. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Blue Devils perform coming off of their spring break.
Well, speaking of the weather, Jeff, you're from Pennsylvania, but you've lived in Virginia long enough to know that it can be winter one day and summer the next. So we kind of went from the freeze to the frying pan weather-wise. And tonight we're at Falcon Field at Fauquier High School. And, you know, I was watching the Falcons and during their pregame drills. They are really sharp and crisp.
They are. I mean, I was watching the same thing. They were making some really crisp, sharp passes, doing a really good job of defensive drills, and I'm excited to see their goalie in action. I think it's going to be a good game for Fauquier, and it's a good test for the Blue Devils to see how they match up against one of the best in the area.
All right, so a really tough matchup tonight for the Blue Devils. We hope to have a competitive game. Hard to know how, of course, it's going to play out until the two teams begin to tangle. But if you're Culpeper head coach Robbie Wysick, what are you thinking coming in?
I think you've just got to do what you did against Eastern View. Be aggressive, try to use your speed, try to get down the field, and have your defense step up, make some big plays, and look for your young goalie to be able to step up here tonight against a very crisp Fauquier Falcon team.
All right, well said, Jeff. Looking forward to calling the game with you tonight. Did you know I'm holding the microphone left-handed, but I'm not really ambidextrous?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's just funny how things work out. Speaking of which, we're going to have to see some good stick work tonight and crisp passing from the Blue Devils.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one thing we've talked about is be able to make those passes and be able to use their speed. They're going to have to be able to win that track meet here tonight.
All right, tonight it's Falcons and Blue Devils at Falcon Field, Fauquier High School, coming your way, courtesy of the Culpeper Media Network. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll have the opening face-off to start tonight's game. Stay tuned. You're watching Blue Devils Lacrosse on the Culpeper Media Network.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. From shirts to banners and everything in between, imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. More than just a respected funeral home, Found & Sons supports youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530.
All right, we welcome our viewing audience to tonight's broadcast of high school boys varsity lacrosse as the visiting Blue Devils will be taking on the Falcons of Fauquier. I'm Mark O'Connell alongside Jeff Say, and tonight behind the camera, of course, is Johnny Krawchuk. And back in the studio, Nicole Wooten. They're live tonight. And this is the first game, Jeff, following the spring break. And as we said during our pregame, Blue Devils got a big win over Eastern View, and tonight they face a very stiff challenge in Fauquier.
Yeah, Fauquier's coming in 8-0, Mark. Second in the Northwestern, and from what I understand, they are a very crisp team. We saw them warming up, and it looked very impressive, so I think it'll be a tough go for the Blue Devils tonight. But as you mentioned, coming off that spring break, the Blue Devils had defeated Eastern View 10-8 in that last game. So that was a big momentum boost for the Blue Devils. Look forward to them carrying that momentum forward here tonight.
Good news for the Blue Devils. They welcome the return of Sebastian Gabaret
who is their primary face-off specialist. He'd been out of country visiting and has returned. So they welcome his return, and they're going to need every bit of help they can get. Now, we know one thing about the Blue Devils, Jeff. There's never any quit in them. But taking on Fauquier tonight, we were talking about the Falcons and their pregame drills. And, you know, when you're standing around the lacrosse players and they're doing their pregame drills, occasionally you'll have an errant ball come your way, and it'll come by your feet, and it'll maybe whiz past you. But, you know, I was down there, and they never dropped a pass. It's like they never let a ball get by them. I'm thinking, whoa, look at this stick work and passing. So we're going to see we expect to see some really good lacrosse tonight.
Well, it was interesting, Mark. You mentioned them not dropping a pass and nothing getting past them. Nothing was getting past their goalie either. Colin Anderson was working on some drills with his defense, and he was stopping everything. So I think he's going to be a tough nut to crack tonight. It's going to be big for Riker Simpson to step up here for the Blue Devils this evening to see how he handles this pressure. But I expect this to be a fast-paced affair.
And, you know, speaking of goalies, Riker Simpson, Cody Douglas was warming him up in the pregame. Blue Devils win this face-off as we start things here at Falcon Field. We've got a penalty early on here. Opening minute of this game, we got our first flag.
And that's going to be a tripping penalty on Grady Panagos. You saw he got his stick there underneath Jacob Ehrman as Jacob was trying to get that ball cleared for Culpeper. And there's your first penalty, and we have Panagos in the sin bin to start, and the Blue Devils on the power play, Mark.
Yeah, and just one clarification. Grady Panagos is someone that I have not met, but I have known his family for a long time. It's really exciting to see a familiar name out there for Fauquier. We saw him during football season as well. Grady Panagos, number 31, finds himself in the penalty box, which gives the Blue Devils a man-up situation here.
And we've seen the Blue Devils take advantage of those power play situations throughout the year, Mark. We saw them do that against Eastern View, and we saw Eastern View take advantage of their power play opportunities in that first game against the Blue Devils. So here I think we're going to see Fauquier take back control.
Well, Fauquier right now looking to beat that penalty clock and get back to full strength as they'll take their time and begin to work their offense.
And
some of the attack really starters for Fauquier: Tyler Cadle, number 13, Billy Brooks, 23. And here is Fauquier setting up the back pedal it out of there, and then we got a defensive play there and a turnover to the Blue Devils. Just mentioning the attack for Fauquier. Let's see what the Blue Devils can do here. They got a little action there in front of goal, but out of harm's way for Fauquier goalie Colin Anderson at this point.
And Fauquier killed off that first penalty, but it looks like we're going to have another one thrown. The referee is announcing that one right now, and that is going to be against Fauquier again. This time it's number 13, Tyler Cadle.
And he is one of the starting players at attack for Fauquier. So just like that, the Falcons have a couple of players visiting the penalty box.
Within the first 2 minutes, we have 2 penalties for the Falcons. So it's going to be huge for the Blue Devils, Mark, to try to take advantage of this.
And I really believe the Blue Devils are going to have to take advantage of everything that comes their way. And, you know, one of the coaches I used to know said he didn't believe in luck. He said you create your own luck. Well, if you're going to create your own luck, you got to do some good things. Let's see what the Blue Devils can put together here. Thinking about it, here's Jacob Roman. Now winding up and taking a shot. This was wide of the mark. That was Bonfadini. Brandon Bonfadini took that shot wide.
Well, the Blue Devils are doing a really good job of moving the ball there, and they were looking for Bonfadini. He had an open shot. Fauquier quickly closed and took away that lane.
Bonfadini over to Jacob Roman. Here's Roman, losing it, at least for the moment. Two teams will fight for it. Cole Plaster comes away with it, wearing jersey number 2 for the Blue Devils. Sporting those gray uniforms again Jeff, and may have brought them a little luck last time.
Absolutely. I was about to mention, first time we saw Jacob Roman, he was wearing number 1. Now he's wearing number 19 when they switched to these sharp new unis.
On the run here, trying to set up near the goal. Now they swing it out. On the perimeter, Jacob Roman winding up, and there is Colin Anderson for the save for the Falcons. We're still scoreless. But the Blue Devils doing a good job of keeping the ball down on this end and putting some pressure down there on that Fauquier goal. Coming away empty, and now the Falcons coming back this way against the Blue Devils. Here's a shot on goal, and their first one is good. And this one is scored by number 33, Braden Profiter. That was a good-looking play, Jeff. Didn't see who got the assist, but they made it look easy. And you got one-on-one there again against Riker Simpson. And, of course, as we've said so many times, got to favor the shooter in that one-on-one situation.
We've talked about that fast break, and that's one thing we noticed about Fauquier is how well they move the ball. They showed their passing skills right there as they were able to make that happen, quickly moving down the field, got a 2-on-1 situation, and then Profiter was able to get alone against Simpson. And as you said, that usually favors the shooter.
And Falcons, following the face-off, go back on the attack here. Dylan Taylor, number 4 for Fauquier. He's out here on the wing. He's going to wind up and take a shot. This one's wide. You know, we are live tonight, and our live sponsor is Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they're able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Let's check the clock. 8:38, clock ticking, first quarter, 1-0 Falcons here at Falcon Field. Jeff mentioned they're 8-0, winding up, cranking this one and scoring is number 48. That's Wyatt Croson, the midfielder. And Jeff, that was just pure velocity. And Riker Simpson unable to catch up with that one.
Yeah, I think Riker Simpson is going to be tested early and often here tonight. And Croson, as you mentioned, that was a quick shot, a lot of mustard on that one coming in. So Fauquier is known for this. I mean, they're known for putting up some big scores. When you're looking at their max preps, at their record, and you see some of the scores they put up against some quality teams, it's been pretty impressive.
So you mentioned let's check this play here. Easy shot to defend against there, but the Falcons keep it. You mentioned that the Falcons were ranked number 2 in the Northwestern District, and number 1 is not Kettle Run.
It was Brentsville. Kettle Run's only got a couple wins.
Look at this one, Jeff, coming in from that X area, then coming out on the perimeter of that goal and taking a shot. Tyler Cadle. Now, he went to the penalty box, and his teammates beat the penalty clock. Then he comes back, and he scores. That's 3-0 Falcons with 7:27 to play in this first quarter. So 3 goals in less than 5 minutes.
And I'll just break it down for you really quick. Fauquier scored 12 goals, 17 goals, 12 goals, 11 goals, 16 goals against Liberty, 20 goals against James Monroe, 23 against North Stafford, 14 against Meriden. Falls Church beating them 14-13, real close game. Last Thursday is when they played. So Fauquier puts up some pretty high scores, Mark.
And I think that didn't they recently beat North Stafford as well?
23-4. That was last Wednesday.
Wow, look at this. Another goal. And this one, again, by Tyler Cadle. They've already got a little bleeding to the Blue Devils, Jeff, and they're going to have to put a bandage on that.
Well, that's 4 goals in the span of about a minute and a half for Fauquier. And that was what we were afraid of with the Falcons, is that they were going to be able to put together some quick scoring chances, as we've seen right there. The Blue Devils, to their credit, kept the ball in the offensive zone for about 3.5 minutes to start this game. They need to do that again to be able to play some defense to keep their offense on the offensive zone.
Well, following another face-off, the Falcons eventually come away with possession. Here's a substitution on the fly as the Falcons wait for their teammates to get in, and then they run the offense. Here's a shot that was batted down by a defender before it could get to Riker Simpson. He'll be thankful for that one. Whistle. penalty flag down. I didn't see that. That was away from the ball.
That was a tripling penalty. I think that's going to be on number 16, Matthew Fisher. Jacob Ehrman again trying to get the ball out of the zone for the Blue Devils, and he drew the penalty.
All right, we'll check the player here just momentarily. It is number 16, isn't it? Matthew Fisher. So 3 players have gone to the penalty box. All 3 have been Falcons. But the score is what? 5-0?
4-0.
4-0. And the Falcons have scored quickly. And they've made it look easy so far. Now here are the Blue Devils setting up on offense and taking a shot, and scoring is number 9 of Culpeper. That would be Jacob Mills. So the Blue Devils are on the scoreboard, Jeff, with about 6:18 to play, it looks like, in the quarter.
Yeah, that was a great shot right there by Mills. Beautiful play by the Blue Devils. They're taking advantage of that power play that they're on, and he was able to sling it in on that left-hand side, be able to beat the Fauquier goalie, Colin Anderson, doing a really nice job of being able to create some space out there for the Blue Devils.
Well, this broadcast brought to you in part by Found & Sons, which is more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. That's Found & Sons at 825-3530. Back in control, Falcons. Kobe Link is number 7. Back to a man making his way toward the goal, and the defender made a play out there, and then Riker Simpson picks up the loose ball and his little outlet pass to his teammate, who will cross the midfield stripe and work this way toward the Fauquier goal.
What a defensive effort right there by the Blue Devils. Did a great job of creating some space, blocking off that shot. What a shot right there.
Yeah, and that was taken by Cole Plaster. And Jeff, he took a nice pass, and he fronted himself in front of that goal there, centered himself, and took the shot and found that top shelf. And all of a sudden, the Blue Devils have narrowed the gap against the Falcons.
Well, Mark, that play started on the defensive zone. Some nice defensive play, and then Riker Simpson making a big pass. You mentioned that outlet pass, be able to get that play going, and Cole Plaster finishing off with that top shelf shot.
This broadcast brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. 547-3673. And the Blue Devils, following the face-off, come out with possession. You got to figure if you're the Blue Devils, you got a little bit of life injected in you after those 2 goals.
I mean, that's a big confidence boost. This is a very game Fauquier team, and so to be able to score 2 goals against them early is huge.
Wes Heflin, and then this one hits the post. Fauquier keeps it, and another shot, and another goal. And this one looks to be scored by, is it number 48 or is it 13? It happened so quickly.
I think that was Tyler Cowdle with that one.
Cadle?
Cadle.
Number 13, Tyler Cadle. Looks like one of the teams has called a timeout. We'll tell you this, that this broadcast is brought to you in part by Cash Imprints. From shirts to banners and everything in between, imprint your message on the community. Cash Imprints, 317-1473. First quarter action, 4 minutes, 14 seconds to play in this one. You've got a score of 5-2.
Correct.
All right, you want to recap the scoring for our viewing audience in case you're a little late tuning into this one?
So Fauquier kicked it off. Braden Profiter scoring, making 1-0. Wyatt Croson added a goal, and then Tyler Cadle, who we just saw score there, scored 2 in a row and made it 4-0. Culpeper got on the board with Jacob Mills to make it 4-1. Cole Plaster added a top shelf goal to make it 4-2, and then Cottle again 5-2 as it stands right now in favor of Fauquier.
All right, and following the timeout, we have 4 minutes and 14 seconds to play here in this first quarter. Fauquier off to a very good start. Jeff, that was 4 unanswered goals before Culpeper scored back-to-back goals to make it 4-2. And then Cadle added the most recent to make it 5-2 in favor of the Falcons. And
And those 4 goals, Mark, came in the span of about a minute and a half. I mean, it was rapid fire goals in favor of the Falcons.
You know, and right when it looked like this sort of avalanche was taking place with the Fauquier Falcons scoring goals, Blue Devils came back and had a couple successive goals.
And one of those started on a power play, so that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to draw those penalties and be able to take advantage of those situations.
In traffic, the players battle for this loose ball, and the Falcons eventually come away with it. That's number 33, Braden Profiter. Again, the game's first goal. Here's the Falcons spreading it out. They go into that X area. 13 again is Tyler Cadle. He draws a crowd of defenders, and his pass is deflected, and looks like the Blue Devils, nope, the Falcons will get it. Back on offense they go. And they can score quickly. We've seen that already.
And they do a really good job of passing the ball, moving it so well, and just controlling the offensive zone, Mark.
And that was a pass right there that came out of the web of Cadle's stick, but the Falcons got it back. A little push shot there, or sort of a shovel shot that was wide of the mark. No harm. Riker Simpson didn't have to worry about that one, but the Falcons come back on offense here. They'll look for an opening. There's one of an errant pass, and in some sense a little hard to believe after having watched them warm up like we did in that pregame.
Well, that one was forced by a triple team by the Blue Devils, getting on Brandon Profiter there and forcing him to get rid of it quickly, and that's what forced the errant pass.
Cole Plaster will start things here on offense for the Blue Devils. He gets a little pressure and then backpedals out of there. They'll rethink the offense here. And this is Roman, number 19. And I believe he was looking for Plaster. He was. Or what? No, it was
Jacob Mills.
Mills.
Mills had the first goal for the Blue Devils. He was back in that X position, Mark, and they were looking to start a play. Now Fauquier brings it back.
Winding up, taking a shot. Riker Simpson the save on the shot taken by Kobe Link. Simpson's pass. Not a bad one. Got away from the intended target, but the Blue Devils got it anyway, and I think this is going to go out of bounds, and we'll have the turnover to the Falcons. 2:32 to play here in this first quarter. Again, we are live, and our live sponsor is Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air at 718-7556. Back to the action here on the field, and the Falcons go back on offense. And we've got a whistle, stoppage, and a turnover to the Blue Devils.
Offsides on Fauquier right there. And that the Blue Devils defense, Mark, I feel was kind of flustering them a little bit. I mean, they've triple teamed some guys. Riker Simpson's made some big stops. I've been impressed with the way the Blue Devils are playing defense right now.
Well, you know, and how crucial he's playing solid defense tonight if you're the Blue Devils. I mean, let's face it. You talked earlier about the number of goals the Falcons have posted against their opponents. Pretty impressive. Getting through the traffic and taking a shot, but this was high of the mark. Blue Devils the closest to it, run it down.
That was Ethan Polster with that shot.
Now this ball loose, anyone's possession on the 50-50. Let's see who comes away with it. As the clock continues to run, we approach the 1 minute and 30-second mark of this first quarter. 5-2 our score in favor of the Falcons. And so turnabout fair play here on the call as the ball goes back to the Falcons for the same call as previously that awarded the ball to the Blue Devils. And the man in possession is Dylan Taylor, number 4. Over the middle. Oh, taking a shot. That was wild. Because I think the player wanted to take the shot, because if it was a pass, even that was errant.
That was Ethan Rotman. I think he was rushed. He was trying to take that shot and it sailed high.
Mm-hmm. Definitely did. Here come the Falcons again. Here's a shot. Well off the mark. Falcons keep it. Wyatt Croson will get it going here for the Falcons with 1:03 to play. First quarter action. Falcon fields the place. Fauquier High School. High school boys varsity lacrosse. Blue Devils and Falcons. Taylor lost it there for a moment. And the teams battle for it. Blue Devils come away with it. Here's a check. Still keeping possession, dropping it. Will it be a turnover? Will the Blue Devils get it back? Falcons come away with it. And we're down to the final 30 seconds of the first quarter. Here's a shot taken, and Riker Simpson there for the save.
Wow, Riker Simpson's really standing on his head right now. He's faced a bevy of shots and has done a great job of turning away many of those Fauquier chances.
Blue Devils will try to unleash a shot, but unable to keep possession. Fauquier coming back the other way. Here they are. This one looked like an opportunity, but Riker Simpson was able to take advantage of that ball that got loose. Took possession, now gets it up to his teammates. This is Jacob Roman. And there's the sound that signals the end of the quarter. So we played one segment here at Fauquier High School, Falcon Field. At the end of the first quarter, Falcons 5, Blue Devils 2. We'll take a break, come back for the second quarter right after this.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. From shirts to banners and everything in between, imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. More than just a respected funeral home, Found & Sons supports youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530.
All right, welcome back to our broadcast. Mark O'Connell, Jeff Say, Johnny Krawchuk with you tonight from Falcon Field at Fauquier High School. We've played one quarter. Score is 5-2 in favor of the Falcons over the Blue Devils. And then as you tune back in here, you see head coach Robbie Wysick talking to his players, decked out in the gray uniforms and gold numerals. Mark O'Connell along with Jeff Say. Jeff, it looked like it's fairly obvious that Fauquier got off to a great start, and they scored those goals in such quick fashion. But right when it looked like, there's going to be an avalanche of continuous activity from the Falcons, the Blue Devils came back and really sort of made it competitive there and played, like you said, some good defense.
And I mean, it's only a 3-goal game right now after the first quarter, 5-2 in favor of Fauquier. But I'll tell you what, I've been really impressed with the way the Blue Devils are playing defense. Riker Simpson's made some big stops. We have seen Jacob Ehrman a couple of times make some big passes and run some balls out and be able to help clear out for the defense. So been really impressed with the way the Blue Devils have double and triple teamed. They've taken away lanes. They've flustered the Falcons, which I've been very impressed with.
Sebastian Gabaret of Culpeper, Killian Perry of the Falcons just faced off for possession, and Killian Perry comes away with it for Fauquier. Matthew Fisher is number 16, being pressured, finds a teammate.
And there's a penalty, and it's a delayed penalty. Now there's going to be another penalty. And so you saw Culpeper's Jacob Mills come in and help out on defense because he's an attacker. He came across the center line. Penalty was thrown for that for the Blue Devils. And then there was another play further down that I think there was a slash.
Slashing, yeah, I'll see the call.
We're going to have 2 Blue Devils in the penalty box. That is, oh man, and is that looks like it's just going to be on Mills.
Jacob Mills.
Yep, Jacob Mills, and But I see Riker Simpson is right. I'm sorry, that's not Tucker Dean came off.
But I was surprised to see Tucker Dean come to the sideline.
Yeah, Tucker Dean came off. He's in the penalty box.
Well, you were right.
So they are down 2.
Yeah, they are down 2. Absolutely. And so that's why Tucker Dean came off. You wouldn't expect him to see him come off otherwise, would you?
No, and so this is a huge opportunity for the Falcons, being up 2 men on a power play.
Oh, this ball got loose. They were trying to get it down there in front of the crease for an easy shot on goal, or a short range one anyway, but Falcons come back with it nevertheless. Here's a shot, and Riker Simpson defenseless there, as number 23 Billy Brooks got one-on-one, close range, and as we always say, it sounds like a broken record, but it's hard to stop a shot one-on-one like that. Always tends to favor the shooter. 6-2.
Well, props to Kuick making the play there. That was Nathan Kuick early on. He was number 4. He intercepted that pass when they had an original opportunity, and he was able to get it down the field, clear it out for a minute. But Fauquier, when you're up 2 men, it's kind of tough to be able to get past that advantage. So Fauquier scores. Blue Devils get both their players back. Both penalties are now wiped away, and Fauquier's moving again.
Here's a shot. This one, Riker Simpson made a play on it. Looks like he's a little shaken up by it.
Yeah, I think so. He looks like he took that one off the hand, and he is down in pain, doubled over right now.
It looked like Ethan Rodman took the shot, and he really cranked one. And Simpson was there for the save, but it cost him some physical pain in the process. You can tell now that didn't feel good. That ball is really coming at you. High velocity, and that ball is really hard too.
It is, and so with the padding that he's got on, and I'm wondering where it caught him. His wrists are kind of covered. I don't know if don't think it would really have that much damage to a knuckle, but if it comes further up and hits you up on your forearm, that's going to leave a welt.
Yeah, being checked out right now. Well, we told you that we are live tonight, and our live sponsor is Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. And this broadcast brought to you in part by Fountain Sons, which is more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Fountain Sons at 825-3530. All right. Well, you can hear the applause because Riker Simpson is okay and he's staying in the game. And I like that show of sportsmanship as number 23 of Fauquier, Billy Brooks, came over to do a little fist bump.
Check on him. And again, what a stop by Riker Simpson, because that shot was coming in hot. And then when it bounced off of him, I thought it was going to trickle into the goal, and then it took a weird angle and went away. So a fortuitous bounce for the Blue Devils.
Well, it sure was. Resuming action here, 10 minutes and 30 seconds, clock ticking, second quarter action. Winding up, taking a shot, Riker Simpson had the stop, wasn't able to corral it. Ball still in play with the Falcons in possession.
And that was Kuick that I think just got leveled there.
Well, winding up, and this one is that
little underarm shot right there.
I was going to say,
side-armed.
Did you see how they changed it up with the delivery, and that's what you always want to do. I guess if you change up your delivery, then it makes the goalie guess.
Yeah,
Riker Simpson had stopped a lot of shots, but couldn't catch up with that one.
Well, when Riker Simpson's stopping all those shots, what do? You change the angle of how it's coming in. And that was almost Kent DeColvey-esque, if you will, going sidearm to be able to get that shot in. So that's very smart by the Falcons to change the angle of approach.
Your comparison is not lost on me, because Kent DeColvey was a pitcher for your Pittsburgh Pirates.
He was. That was the first sidearmer that came into mind. There's probably somebody much more recent, but doesn't pop into my head the way that does.
Well, after the face-off, Falcons in possession. Here's another shot, and they beat Riker Simpson again. This time it's number 33, Braden Profiter. Now, Profiter scored the game's first goal, didn't he? So that's number 2 for him tonight. And now we're up to 8-2. And this is where, Jeff, the Blue Devils need to answer like they did the first time that Fauquier went on that roll. Otherwise, the Falcons are likely to create some distance between the two teams. It's going to be hard to bridge.
Absolutely. If Fauquier rattling off a 3-0 run right now here to start the second quarter. They started the game with a 4-0 run. Culpeper was able to come back, cut it to 4-2 before Fauquier came back and made it 5-2. But Fauquier, we know, they are capable of putting up these high scores, Mark.
Yeah, and that pass was over the head of the intended player, and it turns it over to Culpeper. I didn't expect to see a lot of that from the Falcons tonight, but you mentioned in the first quarter there that the Blue Devils have played some pretty tough defense. Some of these shots are just simply, they're just so hard to stop when players have that sort of velocity off the release.
Sure, but the Blue Devils are doing a really good job of getting in the passing lanes and taking away some of the looks that the Falcons would have. We saw Tucker Dean right there getting in the way of a pass that went errant. So the Blue Devils, like I said, playing good defense. We're seeing some double teams. We're seeing them thinking before the ball was thrown to be able to take away a lane for the Falcons.
Yeah, here's a nice downfield pass to Cole Plaster. And the Blue Devils will try to set up on offense and generate something, but they turn it over very quickly. All right, well, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. 547-3673. All right, here's Plaster. Going the other way now. Comes off a pick by Jacob Roman. Try to go down low, and the ball gets away from the intended receiver there, and I'll turn it over to the Falcons. 8:14 to play. Second quarter. Clock resumes. Substitutions here for both teams. And back come the Falcons. Up 8-2. Here in the second quarter.
We've talked before about how the Blue Devils want to use their speed, but man, I'll tell you what, we have a penalty coming here against Fauquier. Fauquier's got some speed as well.
So this one I think is going to work against the Blue Devils, isn't it? Yeah, they were waiting to see if the Falcons would be able to continue their offensive threat. Here comes the call. We're going to have a Blue Devil go into the penalty box. We'll check his number. I believe it may be Dylan Shiflett, number 5. And it is Dylan Shiflett.
Technical foul, unreleasable.
Well, it'd be a personal foul to make your way into that penalty box. But in any event, the Falcons, man-up opportunity here. Cranking it from a distance, and like Riker Simpson was able to deflect it away from goal, Jeff. And the guy who cranked it for the Falcons was number 48, Wyatt Croson. Back on the attack, Riker Simpson there for another save. Just wasn't able to hold it in the web of that cross. Another shot on goal. Riker Simpson again stepping up for the Blue Devils. This player got away from the defenders, weaved his way through traffic, and took a short-range shot, number 23, Billy Brooks of the Falcons. And, they just kept the pressure on against Simpson and the Blue Devils, and finally they were able to pierce it.
Well, you were talking earlier about changing the angle, and so they changed the angle against Simpson. He went low. He saw that one coming in. He was able to get it out, but the rebound bounces right back to Fauquier. Faukier's able to pass it over to that right side where Billy Brooks was, and Brooks was able to get one-on-one and beat Riker Simpson. Fauquier is just relentless, Mark.
And they win another face-off. Here they come again, and just like that, on the run, taking it, the shot, Ethan Rodeman, or was it 16?
It was
16.
It was 16.
My mistake. Matthew Fisher, the midi, number 16. Wow, 10-2, and we're not even at the midway point of the second quarter.
We talked about Fauquier being able to put together batches of scoring. They've run off a 5-0 run here to start the second quarter.
Sebastian Gabaret, face-off specialist for the Blue Devils, and Killian Perry, likewise for the Falcons. And Perry comes away with it for Fauquier. So if you're Fauquier, you're sort of having some fun right about now, aren't you?
Well, as you said, there's still a lot of time left in the second quarter. Fauquier's, I think, going to turn that one over, Mark. But you can't be lackadaisical. You got to keep on the pressure, and so I'm sure they're going to keep working. But Culpeper has been doing a really good job defensively. They've put the pressure on them. They've double-teamed, they've triple-teamed, they've taken away the passing lanes. So Culpeper just needs to keep it up, keep their heads up, and realize they're up against one of the toughest teams in the area.
And I agree with all that. But I would say this, something to think about. Well, all the things you said are true, but if somebody tuned in and said, okay, the score is 10-2, how did the Falcons get so many goals?
I would first off, I would say being able to batch them together, being able to offensively just keep on the pressure, win the faceoffs. I mean, that's something we've seen is they've won every single faceoff so far here tonight.
Yeah.
So they win the faceoffs and they quickly turn that into a fast break.
Yeah, and so well said, and just how important it is to dominate that face-off position, to come away with possession like that. And here again, another shot and another goal. This one by Tyler Cadle, and that'll make it 11-2 with 5 minutes and 37 seconds to play. Well, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Cash Imprints. From shirts to banners and everything in between, imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints. 317-1473. Well, we had a timeout on the field, Jeff, and this is a good time for both teams to think about where they are. And right now you're looking at the Falcons decked out in those white uniforms with red letters, and they're certainly out in control with 9-goal lead. So, tough question, but if you're the Blue Devils and you've been playing pesky on defense and you've been trying to take away some of the angles by the Falcons, but you find yourself down by 9 goals and you're only at the midway point in the second quarter, is there any cavalry to call in?
Well, you've got to have your offense step up and be able to control the ball in the offensive zone. I was talking about that a little bit earlier. That might be the best defense against the Falcons, is to control it offensively, take some pressure off the defense. We saw that early on the Blue Devils controlled the ball for about 2.5 minutes, and that was really impressive. They had 2 power play opportunities they were unable to score on, but they were able to control the ball and be able to keep some things going and be able to string together a little bit of momentum. They need to do that again, win a face-off, get control of the ball, hang on to it, pass it around, maybe even slow it down a little bit. I know that's against Culpeper's MO. They like to run with it, but slow it down and control the offensive zone.
Which is a totally different strategy than what they employed against Eastern View, because they wanted to run, as you said. Well, they go back to the face-off, and for Culpeper, that means Sebastian Gabaret. But as you said, the Falcons have dominated from that starting point, and again, they win another one, and back on offense they go. Here's a shot in short range, and he had an opening, and the defense simply did not collapse on him, and number 23, Billy Brooks, made him pay. And now it's 12-2 with 5:14 to play here in the second quarter.
Hat trick for Brooks, hat trick for Cottle so far tonight for the Falcons. So Cottle with 3, Brooks with 3, Croson with 1. For the Blue Devils, we got Jacob Mills with 1, Cole Plaster with 1. Braden Profiter has 2 for the Falcons, and Matthew Fishers has 1 for the Falcons. That should be all your scoring. That's a lot of it.
And we're not done yet, are we?
And there's 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. So there's still a lot of scoring to come.
Yeah, and we've got a long way to go. Well, it's always good to be with you and Johnny, and we appreciate Nicole Wooten back in the studio. It's always fun to broadcast a game. Certainly, if you had your druthers, you would say that you'd like to see your home team play a little more competitively here, but they're probably giving it all they got.
They are. I mean, like I said, they're playing good defense. And now they've got control of the ball offensively. Now we just got to hang on to it, look for an opportunity, we were talking earlier, luck. Make your own luck. So just move around without the ball, find some open lanes, and make your own luck.
And the first coach that told me that was a legendary figure, if you will, icon of Virginia High School League, Shirley Gray. And, he coached football, and he coached wrestling, he coached golf.
I was going to say, golf is when I came in.
Yeah, and he called here just a second. There's a shot that was wide of the mark, and then the rebound is collected by Riker Simpson. It's talking about Shirley Gray and how much respect and admiration I and so many people had for him. And I was talking to him one time about luck. He said, "No, I don't believe in luck." He said, "I think you create your own luck." And I think what he meant by that is that if you're doing fundamentally what you're supposed to be doing, and you're where you're supposed to be in position, and you stay in your lane and all these things, good things start to happen. That's where he's talking about creating your own luck. And here is Jacob Roman, who from a distance is able to find the goal and make it 12-3. And Jeff, I got to ask you, you're keeping a tally there. How long had it been since the Blue Devils had found that Fauquier net?
Blue Devils had not scored for essentially a quarter. They had not scored since 5:26 in the first quarter. And Jacob Roman scoring here with 4:02 remaining in the second quarter. And you want to talk about making your own luck. Roman did just that. I mean, but the Blue Devils did a really nice job of moving the ball there to find Jacob Roman, and then Roman's firing off that side shot to be able to get it past Colin Anderson, who really hasn't been challenged much, but the Blue Devils have been able to get the ball past him, which has been impressive.
Well, a lot of action has been in front of Riker Simpson in that Blue Devil defense. But as you pointed out, Jacob Roman gives the Blue Devils a goal. It's 12-3, 3:30 to play, second quarter, and the Blue Devils back on offense here. Well, a lot can happen in a short period of time in lacrosse. We've seen that since the beginning of our broadcasting days, haven't we?
We have. I mean, I've seen goals scored willy-nilly in the span of 4 goals scored in a minute and be able to tie it up. And we've had some real exciting games here with the Blue Devils over the years.
And this one, that was sort of a nicely conceived play in the sense they got it down just outside that crease, but the player for the Blue Devils lost possession, and then the goalie, Colin Anderson, able to corral it quickly. And here come the Falcons back on the attack again. 48 and winding up. This is your sidearm shot again, and this one was taken by number 48, Wyatt Croson. How many goals does he have tonight? You compared the sidearm shot to what we saw from sidearm pitcher Kenta Colby. Now that's a blast from the past, and a lot of people younger than us won't remember that name.
No, absolutely. He was pitcher in the 70s and the early 80s. I enjoyed him because he always wore glasses.
He did, yeah.
And so growing up as a youth, I wore glasses a lot, and so there weren't too many bespectacled pitchers in the major leagues, but he was one of them. I really enjoyed him, enjoyed Don Mattingly for the Yankees.
Don Mattingly, a great first baseman,
Yep.
Excellent hitter. It's interesting because when I look, sometimes I'll look to see what the critics say about the top players in each position. Mattingly doesn't make that top 10 as I thought he would. So I guess there's been a lot of great first basemen ahead of Don Mattingly, but he was awfully good.
Well, Wade Boggs immediately pops into mind for the Boston Red Sox when you talk about first base. So
But didn't he start his career at third base?
he did originally, yes. I think
Yeah.
that one came off the post.
Sure did come off the post, and that one had some firepower behind that one. Boggs, well, I think what happens is guys get moved to first base late in their career when you just don't have the agility or the, that sort of thing, range of motion as you may have had at earlier times.
Well, now they have the DH. Both leagues now have the DH. As a traditionalist, that hurts my soul, but that's the way they've gone, so I'm just going to have to live with it.
Well, I had to tell you, there was a shot by the Blue Devils went wide. They're trying to force a little action here as we approach the 2-minute mark of this second quarter. I didn't realize the National League got the designated hitter now.
Yeah, they just added that this year, and they
Well, you know what it comes down to when you make these changes in most sports? It comes down to the fans want to see more offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know if it's the fans or the owners, because more offense, more home runs puts more fans in the seats. So,
well, you're still back to the fans, though.
Back to the fans, but the fans are spending money, and then the money goes to the owners. So it's it's capitalism.
It is, but I'm saying winding up and taking another shot. Riker Simpson there for the save for the Blue Devils. He's had a big game. I know the Falcons have scored 13 goals, but let me tell you, Riker Simpson has turned away a number of shots as well.
Riker Simpson has been busy down there in goal, and his defense, Tucker Dean, Kuick, Ehrman, they have done a really nice job in front of helping out. You see Jacob Roman down there, midfielder, chipping in on defense. So the Blue Devils have taken away the passing lanes. They've been pesky, let's put it that way.
But, we're talking about baseball or other sports. So much of the game has changed over the years, and its nuances are a lot to cover in a broadcast like this, and we certainly can only get to a few of them. But I remember growing up that a pitcher would, one of the stats they used to keep is complete games.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even think about a complete game now. It's not even part of the equation.
You didn't have somebody like a swingman, back in the 70s, because the pitchers didn't come out. Now you have a setup man, a swing man, a closer. So
specialists,
righty specialists, lefty specialists,
Yeah.
And now the rosters are, I think, 28. It was always a 25-man roster. A lot has changed.
Falcons trying to force the action here. Under a minute to play, looking for another goal. It's 13-3. Riker Simpson comes away with it. He'll look for some help. Down the field he goes.
Been impressed with Riker Simpson's outlet passes. Always been on the mark, doing a great job of leading his offense.
This is a shot which is well wide of the intended mark. I believe that was Plaster who took it. Down to 31 seconds. Clock is stopped with the ball out of bounds. Now they resume.
And Mark, I want to point out too, Riker Simpson was banged up at one point. He took a shot that doubled him over in pain, and now he's still out there battling. Been really impressed with his poise in goal today.
I think John Gillen just took a shot that hit that post, carried him out of there, and then the Blue Devils got it back, at least for the moment. And now down to the final 10 seconds of this second quarter. Here come the Falcons. Watch out. They've got plenty of time. They take a shot and score. And this one is number 45. That's Wes Heflin for the Falcons. 14-3 with 4.7 seconds showing on the scoreboard clock.
Well, I was just thinking, I looked up and I saw 16 seconds, and I thought, there's no way they can score in 16 seconds. And they win that ground ball, and Heflin is able to get ahead of the Blue Devils defense. The midfielders were caught back, and he was just able to get in there and get a nice shot off.
All right. And there's the sound that signals the end of the second quarter. So, halfway through this game between the Falcons and Blue Devils, Fauquier enjoys a 14-3 advantage as the two teams head to the intermission and the break. All right, we'll take a break, and we'll come back for the third quarter when it starts. Stay tuned. You're watching Blue Devils Lacrosse on the Culpeper Media Network.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. From shirts to banners and everything in between, imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. More than just a respected funeral home, Found & Sons supports youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530.
Okay, welcome back to our broadcast from Falcon Field. We are getting ready to start the third quarter of action. Mark O'Connell, Jeff Say, Johnny Krawchuk with you tonight. And again, our thanks and appreciation to Nicole Wooten back in the studio of the Culpeper Media Network. We are live tonight. And Jeff, there'd be a lot of scoring to have to recap. If you look at the score right now, 14-3 in favor of the Falcons. And the face-off, of course, starts this quarter, and we mentioned earlier just how dominant the Falcons have been from that position and how critical that's been in the flow of the game.
And we see the Falcons win here on technicalities. There's a false start. Now the Falcons will take over. You mentioned the scoring. The Falcons scored 5 goals in the first quarter, 9 goals in the second quarter. Billy Brooks has a hat trick. Tyler Cadle has a hat trick for the Falcons. The Blue Devils had 2 goals in the first quarter. We saw Jacob Mills and Cole Plaster scoring, and then Jacob Roman added a goal in the second quarter to give the Blue Devils their 3 goals. Fauquier has offensively played very well. The Blue Devils defensively have played very well as well. Riker Simpson's made some big stops. We've seen the defense step up, but Fauquier gets on fast breaks like we see here.
And so, and we were talking a little bit on our break about the goals that Fauquier has scored. Not to take anything away from them, but I think that bounce of the ball you all were talking about in front of the goal and how it did, they were able to get back some second and third chance opportunities. And here's a shot taken that Riker Simpson traces, deflects it away from goal. That was taken by number 33 of Fauquier, Braden Profiter. Remember, he was the game's first scorer. And the Falcons. So if you're wondering about a continuously running clock, we could have one here once there's a 12-goal lead. So that would mean the Falcons, if they score another goal here, and they do, on the charge to the net, taken by number 33, Braden Profiter. He scores as he falls to the ground. Now it's 15-3, and that 12-point margin of difference will now implement a continuously running clock, Jeff, and so this one could go very quickly.
Yeah, we've seen Fauquier offensively just be running on all cylinders, Mark. I mean, they're doing a really good job of passing the ball, finding the open man, getting fast breaks, getting 3-on-2 opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
While we've seen Culpeper's defense step up, and I think they've played really well, it's just Fauquier has been overwhelming.
And, you know, I'm certainly, you know, when we talk about a continuously running clock, the game will get away from you. Next thing you know, you're down to just a few minutes. And that's the way it is. Riker Simpson corrals this one. He was looking for a player who wasn't looking for him. He looked like it was intended there for Jacob Ehrman. Ehrman had his back to him.
Well, you mentioned the bouncing ball there a minute ago, and the ball just took a weird bounce just a minute ago, and Riker Simpson was able to scoop it up, but a few times it has taken a Falcon bounce, a fortuitous bounce, if you will, and has gone, you know, the Falcons' way, right to somebody in front on a rebound, or it's bounced and come right back at Riker Simpson, and he hasn't been able to handle it. They've taken, whereas Culpeper's had a couple shots come off the goalpost, for Fauquier, that has been able to been angled right into the goal. So,
and we just had a penalty flag thrown, and the penalty was assessed against Fauquier's Wes Heflin in the penalty box. That means Culpeper man-up opportunity here. Now, if they score a goal and cuts into that margin of an 11-goal lead, we'll go back to a regularly running clock. And certainly the Blue Devils have an opportunity, a man up here.
And we've seen the Blue Devils take advantage of a power play situation early on. That was their second goal.
Cole Plaster tried to weave his way in for a shot. The defense broke that one up before it could get to the goalie, Colin Anderson. Okay, Fauquier back on the attack. Tyler Cadle in control. Finds a teammate, and on the perimeter there, unleashing it and scoring is again number 33, Braden Profiter. Jeff, how many of these Fauquier Falcons have reached the hat trick mark tonight?
That's 3 of them. Profiter now has a hat trick. Billy Brooks has a hat trick, and Cadle has a hat trick.
And again, we go to the continuously running clock, so already we're down to 7 minutes and 10 seconds counting into the third quarter. You know, we were live tonight, and our live sponsor is Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. And you know, Jeff, when I say that they're able to keep your home comfortable, I can personally attest to it. You know, it's not like something you're saying and you have no experience with it. I have the experience with it, and I'm very happy with them.
We've worked with them as well. Greg and Katie are incredible people. We love working with them. They're just so nice, and they're so accommodating, and their staff is so knowledgeable.
They are, and their staff is very nice. Everyone who's been to my home has been wonderful, and we're very happy to get to know them as Jacob Roman fires a shot that was this one a little misguided, but his teammates keep it. And we're nearly approaching the midway point of this third quarter as the Blue Devils looking for a little offensive firepower down here. They're going to need it. Otherwise, the clock will just keep running, and the Falcons certainly take advantage of that. This pass goes out of bounds, should be Blue Devil possession. Well, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. 547-3673. Jacob Roman, now Cole Plaster. Ball loose, Falcons come away with it.
One thing the Falcons have done so well tonight, Mark, is to lead their offense. I mean, they're looking for where the player is going to be, not where the player is at. And they are just doing an amazing job of being able to getting those fast breaks going by leading the offensive players.
Well, and that's a key point. In other words, you can lead them if you know where your teammate's going to be and if your teammate shows up where he's expected to be, right?
The anticipation. I mean, that is what I've been impressed with Fauquier, is they know where to anticipate their teammates are going to be.
And Cole Plaster takes a check there. And this is a legal one. You know, we like that contact in this game, don't we, when it's legal?
We do. And I mean, that's what you would call riding somebody out of bounds. And Plaster held on to that one, and so it's going to be a turnover into the Falcons.
Yeah, clean play, and here come the Falcons once more. Both teams at full strength. Falcons work it. They were trying to find a cutter there toward the net. Ball got behind him, and we have a whistle, and we're going to say Blue Devil ball as the clock continues to run. 4 minutes and 30 seconds to play in this third quarter, and it's 16-3 in favor of the Falcons. We knew they had a good team, and we knew that the Blue Devils would have a very tough assignment here tonight.
Well, we've seen the Falcons, you know, looking at their schedule, and they've put up 20 goals a couple of times, and, you know, I don't think they've scored any less than 11 goals in a game. So we knew that offensively they were going to be a tough challenge.
And, of course, they've had some able play in goal by Colin Anderson. Of course, we've been very impressed with Blue Devils goalie Riker Simpson. I know he's given up some goals, but there have been a lot of shots fired by the Fauquier Falcons. And this broadcast is brought to you in part by Found & Sons, which is more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. That's Found & Sons at 825-3530. Falcons looking for more. This was a bounce shot that went wide of the mark. That was taken by Fauquier's Kobe Link. Falcons keep it. Back on the attack they go.
And Mark, I want to point out how senior heavy this Falcon team is. I'm counting right now, and I think there's 9 or 10 players that are seniors. Kobe Link, who we saw take the shot, is one of only 2 sophomores on the team.
Well, you know, and so tonight we've had a good look at Fauquier and what they can do. It'll be interesting to see how good Brentsville District is when we get an opportunity to see them this season.
And Brentsville District is also 8-0. They're 1-0 in the Northwest, but they're ranked as the #1 team in the Northwest. Their power points must be a little bit higher.
So both teams undefeated, and, you know, they play a tough schedule, so that really says something about both programs. Fauquier and Princeville District, and I wasn't sure how good Kettle Run was going to be. And of course, the other team up in Fauquier County is Liberty. So, and of course, the Blue Devils were coming in off the emotional win over Eastern View. So Eastern View and Culpeper split their series on the regular season 1 game apiece. And it's interesting enough that the Blue Devils won at Eastern View, didn't they? And Eastern View won at Broman Field.
Yep, they split in their each other's home field advantage, and that was a really close game both times. 10-8 the last game was 15-7. The first game that was a lot closer than that. So I feel like Eastern View and Culpeper are very evenly matched, and I really enjoyed the rivalry this year. I thought I think that's the first time, Mark, if I'm remembering correctly, that we've ever seen them split.
I can't really say. I mean, your memory for that is better than mine. But also want to bring up something else here when I get a chance. This is Cole Plaster and the Blue Devils looking for an opening against this Fauquier defense. 1:30 only to play here in this third quarter. 16-3 our score in favor of the Falcons.
It really moves when that clock is not stopped.
Sure does. Taking the charge toward the net, but coming up empty was Cole Plaster as Anderson, the goalie, was able to make the save. Final 1:04 and counting here in the third quarter. And this broadcast brought to you in part by Cash Imprints, from shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. This is Jacob Roman, number 19. Blue Devils spread it out. Here's Roman. Will he make a move? Passes it to his teammate, operating from the X area, now back out on the perimeter. Ball loose, and it's going to be corralled by the goalie there, Colin Anderson. Here's his outlet pass. It's a good one out to his teammate, Kobe Link. Whistle and stoppage. That's a timeout called by Fauquier. And Jeff, that'll take us to a break. We're not necessarily breaking from the broadcast, but we'll take a break from the game itself and turn it over to you and say, let's update the viewing audience on some of the things that have happened and are expected to happen in the local community.
Absolutely. So this past weekend, Culpeper Palooza was hosted. It was a benefit for students in the community, for music students between Culpeper Parks and Rec, Joel Tone Music, White Duff Studios, Mountain Run Winery, Aubrey Driggers with Waking Napster, and they hosted it out at Mountain Run Winery. Myself and the Chamber of Commerce, we greeted everybody as they came in and helped check everybody in and get all the tickets straightened out. But it was raised, right now, it's a rough estimate of about $13,000 for students in the community for music lessons. And so it was a beautiful day. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great music, a lot of fellowship, and it was just really heartwarming to see. And it's going to equate to some great music lessons for students in our community. Coming up this next weekend on April 30th, Culpeper Renaissance Inc. is hosting the Gnarly Block Party. That is on Saturday. They are in need of volunteers, Mark. They're looking for people to help out in the morning and until the afternoon. They have 2 shifts available. I do believe one shift is from 11 to 2:30. The other shift is from 2:30 to 5. If you are interested in helping, please call the CRI office at 825-4416.
Well done. So a lot going on in the community. And, of course, you're sort of right there in the thick of things, aren't you?
Well, it's where I like to be, is right in the thick of things. It's always enjoyable seeing what's happening in Culpeper. There really is no place like Culpeper, Mark. I've said it time and again.
Well, that sound in the background signals the end of another quarter. So we've played 3 here at Falcon Field, and it's Falcons 16, Blue Devils 3. We'll take a break and come back for the 4th and final quarter right after this.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. From shirts to banners and everything in between, imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. More than just a respected funeral home, Found & Sons supports youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530.
All right, well, welcome back to Falcon Field, the site of tonight's broadcast and game between the Falcons and Blue Devils here, high school boys varsity lacrosse. And so we mentioned that the Falcons came into the game with an unbeaten record of 8 wins and no losses and ranked number 2 in the Northwestern District. But the number 1 ranked team is the Brentsville District Tigers, also unbeaten at 8-0, and that'll be an interesting matchup when those two teams clash. Well, Jeff, we've had, I think the score at the half was what, it was 11 goal advantage. But once the Falcons got the 12-goal advantage, we've had a continuously running clock. Therefore, the third quarter went by, it seemed like it went by really in like a blink of an eye.
It was a flash. And so it was 14-3 at the half. Fauquier had the advantage. 5 goals in the first quarter for the Falcons, 9 goals in the second quarter. And then in the third quarter, Braden Profiter had 2 goals for the Falcons to make it 16-3 as we come into the fourth quarter. Falcons playing well offensively, really moving the ball well, getting the fast break going, and they've just been peppering Riker Simpson, who's been in goal for the Blue Devils. But Simpson has done a really good job. He's blocked a lot of shots. I mean, the score could be much higher, but the Blue Devils defense, you normally wouldn't say this, when you're in a 16-3 game, but I've been really impressed with the Blue Devils defense, how they've handled themselves, the composure, and the way that they've been able to help out their goalie.
Yeah, well said. And, so I was thinking that, the Falcons have scored 16 goals. If you were just tuning in, you would think, the Falcons have had their way, and to an extent they have. But Riker Simpson has turned away a lot of shots. And we don't have a statistician, and we don't keep track of that. Jeff keeps a running tally of the goals that are scored, when they're scored, and that sort of thing. But we don't have a statistician. We don't know. But I would say that Riker Simpson's recorded quite a few saves here tonight. And he was a little banged up there in that first half, too. And he was attended to, and he was fine, and got an applause from the people in attendance and well wishes from the opponents across the way. And he's been in there, done a good job for them. And, of course, his counterpart for Fauquier, goalie Colin Anderson, has had a good game as well. He hasn't been fired upon anywhere near as much, but he's had a good game, no doubt.
Absolutely, and we see the Blue Devils turn it over here, and that's one thing I've noticed, that, Fauquier's composure and be able to hang on to the ball, change their shots around. As we see a sidearm
right there. Another sidearm. That's the kind of shot you like, because it always makes you think of Kent TeColby. As number 45, Wes Heflin, scores for the Falcons. And so I hate to say it, but the route continues.
Yeah, I think Heflin has the hat trick now for Fauquier. So Fauquier will have 4 players with the hat trick.
Now, Jeff, if this were a football score, it's 17-3, you'd say one team has 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and the other team's been held to a field goal. But you'd still say, hey, but this is a huge difference in a lacrosse game. Even though we pointed out things can happen in a flurry, in a frenzy of action. But it's going to take a major turnaround for that to change here tonight.
And we see a big stop right there again by Riker Simpson, and he's made a number of those tonight. And that's been the positive for the Blue Devils, is that their defense has played well. It's just a testament to how disciplined Fauquier's offense is. As we see another score, that's Dylan Taylor scoring for the Falcons, another senior. With about 9:55 to go, Dylan Taylor makes it 18-3 in favor of the Falcons.
Sure does, and that was the thing of beauty for the Falcons. They executed that one quite nicely. And what they've done is they're putting in some substitutions. And the guy who had done the face-offs predominantly for the Falcons tonight had been Killian Perry, number 6. And now I think they've made a change there. If you can pick up his number, Is it
Number 7?
Yeah, so they did make a change there. That's Kobe Link handling the face-off.
And Link is one of 2 sophomores on the team. The other sophomore is Billy Brooks. We're at the television. The press box is above you. So sorry, we have some folks reaching out to us.
Well, and all in good taste.
Another
goal there. We were a little distracted from the action as Fauquier continues. It's relentless.
And it was number 48.
Relentless pursuit, Jeff, of that Blue Devil goal. They've really sort of frayed that net, if you will.
And that was Wyatt Croson with the goal for Fauquier. And you mentioned, Mark, about good taste. They were mentioning that the pizza is now half price at the concession stand. So I might take advantage of that at the end of the game if that offer still stands.
If the offer still stands. That's, so if you stay here long enough, all of a sudden now you got a price reduction.
Exactly, right? Yes.
Yeah. But talking about staying here long enough, I mean, the second half has gone very quickly because of continuously running clock. Coming away with it, Killian Perry back from that face-off position. And we're down to 8 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. And we talked about, being live tonight. And, of course, our live sponsor is Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. That's Able Heating and Air at 718-7556. Another shot on goal was taken. This was wide, but the Falcons will keep it. And so, again, they go back on the offense and are really attacking that goal. Here's another sidearm shot taken and scored past Riker Simpson. It is Wes Heflin. I got a feeling you're going to be adding Heflin to your list of people who've got the hat trick for the Falcons here tonight.
Yeah, Heflin. I think Heflin already had it. We've got Brooks, Heflin, Profiter, and I'm missing one off.
Did you
the
say
top of my-
Cadle?
Cadle.
Yeah.
Cadle is the other. So there's
Cadle.
4 players with a hat trick. And so Heflin has 4 goals this evening, and it's now 20-3 with 6:58, and the clock continues to roll.
Well, this broadcast brought to you in part by Cash Imprints, from church to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473.
Fauquier again going back on the offensive mark. I mean, I'm impressed. They're just keeping the foot on the gas. I mean, they've scored 6 goals in the second quarter here so far. I was doing math in my head really quick. That's a dangerous thing. Smoke's going to be coming out of my headset here.
Well, it was 14-3 at the half, right?
Yep.
All right, and now it's 20-3.
21-3. Just scored another goal.
Okay, so that means the Blue Devils have not scored here in the second half.
That is correct, sir.
All right. Well, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Found & Sons, which is more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530. And yet another face-off. How many of those have we had tonight? Well, you've got 21-3. That's 24 goals. There's a face-off following every goal. There's a face-off to start the game. There's a face-off to start each quarter. So there you are. Do the math. They've been there a lot tonight.
And Fauquier has won quite a bit of them. I think there's been a couple that there's another goal.
Yeah, but how about, first of all, they had a shot that was taken, and a nice save by Riker Simpson, but the Falcons got the offensive rebound, and then the putback in that sort of just right outside that crease area where it was very hard for Riker Simpson to stop that second one. And it's goals galore for the Fauquier Falcons.
It is, and you mentioned it's been the rebounds. And the bounces have just gone Fauquier's way. As soon as Riker Simpson makes one stop, it bounces off of him and goes right back out to another waiting Falcon. And Billy Brooks now has 4 goals for the night. We were mentioning he's one of 2 sophomores on this Fauquier team.
New face-off player there for the Falcons, number 4, Dylan Taylor. The Falcons mixing it up a little bit from that position. Taylor comes to the sidelines. Falcons back on the attack once more. Down low, shot taken, top shelf. It was number 23, Billy Brooks. His name's been called a few times tonight as well, and I think Riker Simpson's going to be saying, let's get a little defense in front of me down here.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that when you get one-on-one is almost always favors the offensive player. And Billy Brooks with 5 goals now for the Falcons, getting that one-on-one opportunity. He even had a chance to do a little bit of a double tank, double clutch, and then was able to get it past Riker Simpson.
Different face-off specialist once more for Fauquier, and this time it is Mitty Parker Emirado for the Falcons. And again, clock continues to run. We're down to 3:30 or 3:20 and counting rather. And this is going to be a game where obviously the Falcons have really had quite an offensive onslaught tonight. You wonder what their average per game is. I think that they probably, whatever it is, they're going to add a little bit to it, to that average.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think they've scored less than 11 in a game, and they're 8-0. They're obviously a fine-tuned machine. They're doing an amazing job here tonight, and Culpeper's defense, and give them credit. You know, they held in there for a long time. I would say here in the fourth quarter, Fauquier has kind of wore them down.
Well, and the Blue Devils, player in traffic, Falcons come away with it. They get it over to the goalie, Anderson. He'll look for an outlet. He'll find his teammate, Corey Burt. This broadcast brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. 547-3673. 2:30 and counting, fourth quarter action. And the Falcons content to spread it out and work the clock. You're going to leave here tonight with a huge victory over the Blue Devils. And you know you're seeing a lot of different numbers in there. Obviously, Jeff, the Fauquier Falcons have been able to go deep to their bench.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Falcons didn't slow it down like this more. I mean, they really kept the foot on the gas here in the fourth quarter. They've had an 8-0 run here in the second half for the 23-3 lead. I'm sorry, 9-0. It's a 9-0 run because it was 14-3 at the half.
14-3 at the half,
yep.
Exactly. So 23. 9 goals unanswered by the Blue Devils as the Falcons have had their way, completely dominating the second half. 1:30 to play here in this one. You see the Falcons spreading it out, content to work the clock. Why not? I mean, why wouldn't you do that?
Well, I mean, they're getting their passing drills in now. Culpeper's defense, they've been hanging in there. I mean, I've said it's tough to say, but in a 23-3 game, but Culpeper's defense has been tenacious, and Riker Simpson has made some big stops for the Blue Devils. If I'm the Blue Devils, I'm not hanging my head about this one. This has been a lesson learned. This is a team that Fauquier is very, very good, but it's been a very stalwart defensive effort by Culpeper to hang in there the way they have.
And I think those are the sort of comments that probably should be conveyed to head coach Robbie Weiss and his team. That it's factual and it does cast a positive light on things in the scheme of things here. I mean, if you're Fauquier, you feel pretty good about the way you've played, but they've made some mistakes as well. I know they want to clean that up before they take on somebody like Brentsville District.
Well, Fauquier had 2 penalties in the first 2 minutes.
Right.
You can't do that against a Brentsville District team. Culpeper, they were able to score a power play goal on one of the 3 penalties in the first quarter. But, Fauquier, they've tightened it up since then, that's for sure.
Final seconds ticking off. And there it is, the sound that signals the end of the game. And our final score, Falcons 23, Blue Devils 3. Big win tonight for Fauquier. Jeff, we've been summing it up all the way, along the way. Your final thoughts before we say goodnight from Falcon Field.
Well, for the Blue Devils, this is just one to brush off. You played against a high-caliber team. You hung in there. Your defense stepped up. Riker Simpson, I think, has got to take away some positives from this one. He played hurt there for a little bit, got banged up. He made some big stops. Brush this one off, go back at it the next game.
That's right. All right. Great working with you again tonight and calling the game with you, Jeff, on behalf of the Culpeper Media Network. It's always fun. Of course, Johnny Krawchuk behind the camera, Nicole Wooten back in the studio. Well, we hope you enjoyed the broadcast. We certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. For Jeff and Johnny, I'm Mark O'Connell saying thanks for watching and supporting Blue Devils Lacrosse here on the Culpeper Media Network. We'll see you next time. So long.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. From shirts to banners and everything in between, imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. More than just a respected funeral home, Found & Sons supports youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530.